Is authenticity overrated? Ooh.
I can't keep up the pace. She got me off my waist. He done put it on my plate. Finding you.
My people, what's going on? What's going on? So today's thought I had, everyone, is we will be discussing the topic of authenticity and if it is truly overrated or something that we truly follow or admire or uphold, right? When you think about it in a real way. So I was thinking the other day, a lot of us tend to ask for authenticity in people, right? No fake friends, no fake this, no fake that. You know, I want everybody real around me. But if you ask yourself, if you stop and you truly ask yourself, are you the same person at home by yourself in your own company as you are with your friends, as you are with your family, your boss, your coworkers, all those different people and groups you're around, right? Could you honestly, in your heart of hearts, say that you are the exact same person by yourself as you are around other people? And if that answer is no, could you still consider yourself authentic? And then you want to ask yourself why, if you are not the same person at home that you are with other people or other groups, why is that? I feel like I would want to go out on a limb and say judgment, right? Judgment and comfort. Well, they can go hand in hand, but they aren't mutually exclusive. When you talk about judgment and fear being judged or comfort levels, there's a lot of things that we do by ourselves because we don't judge ourselves, right? It's only us in the room. So there's nobody there to say you shouldn't do that but ourselves. There's a lot of weird things that we might do, or we might say, that we would not otherwise do or say in front of the company of someone else. Could you still consider yourself authentic? The same person that you are with your parents, is that the same person that you are with your boss or with your friends? A lot of us can say, well, there's a certain type of reverence I have and or respect I have for my parents. So I'm not going to curse around my parents, or I'm not going to do this around my parents, or wear this around my parents. Would you then say that you were still authentic? I mean, granted, yes, we do have that reverence and we want to be able to show respect for our parents in a certain regard, but is that still authentically you, your most authentic raw self? What would the world be if everyone were their authentic raw selves? Would there be a such thing as cliques? Would there be a such thing as this type of person or that type of person, or this type of group or that type of group, if everyone were their authentic selves? I was thinking too, and I'm not saying this is fact, just an observation, right? A lot of the people that we would consider, the alt person or the outcast, whether in school or, when we were all in grade school or high school or wherever, right? The alt kids that we would say that were weird, it is my observation that a lot of those individuals were outcasts because they were their most authentic selves. Partially because they had to be. They didn't have any other choice. They didn't know how to be anybody else. So a lot of the things that they would do within their groups or peers, it's the same type of activity or things that they would do by themselves. And a lot of those things that we like to kind of keep to ourselves because we don't want to be judged that way, they don't have that same level of fear or concern. They only know how to be that authentic, most raw self, right? And they find others that behave in that same way, right? Where they have, their little ticks or ways of being or moving, whether it's the listening, music they listen to, whether it's dancing when they, don't know how to dance, they just kind of move, whether it's, making silly noises or, funny sounds, and finding that group of people that aren't afraid to do that same thing. And it's partially due to them not fitting into the mold of what we see as beauty or beautiful, or attractive. It varies from person to person, of course. But a lot of those people that don't fit in that mold say, well, what else do I have? If I don't have, the, typical standard of beauty, if you will, or that cookie cutter look, or if my body's not the most in shape, or if I don't have the longest, most flowy hair or luxurious hair, if I don't have the most stylish clothes, what else do I have? My authentic raw self. So if you can safely say or honestly say, well, there's different masks I put on depending on who I'm with or where I am. And let's be honest, we all have masks, right? We all have certain things that we do and say certain ways of being depending on where we are. The same thing that we would do and or wear in a club scene is not the same thing necessarily that we would do or wear if we were in a business meeting, right? There's certain masks that we wear depending on the circumstances. And I guess by definition, would you then say that you were still operating in your most authentic self? Another thing I would like us to think about is in operating in yourself, right? A lot of us have certain masks that we wear, but then we want the individuals that we interact with or people that we call our friends to be their most authentic selves. And if they're not, you would deem that as fake. Is it inherently a bad thing to be fake or inauthentic depending on where you are or who you're talking to? Being careful or mindful of certain things. Is it to our detriment living in the world that we live in to truly be your most authentic self? And if you are not your most authentic self, does that automatically make you a bad person? Does that make you a dishonest person? Does that make you a bad friend? Does that make you not worthy of having a community of people around you that you can trust? And vice versa. When we think about authenticity, to be your most authentic self, I feel, is extremely taxing and challenging, especially considering the type of world that we live in today, right? We don't live in the type of world in our modern society that grants us that luxury to be our most authentic selves without being judged, without being diagnosed, without being othered, right? So if we go out and we have some couth about ourselves, right? Is that fake? Is that authentic? Is it not authentic? Think about your definition of authenticity. Does that align with the actual definition of what authentic is? And if there are nuances or differences, could it still then be authentic? So my question for everyone is simply, is being authentic overrated? Something to think about. Anyway, have a good Sunday, y'all. I think it's Sunday, right?
I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. I haven't eaten in probably 2 days. I'm just trying to sort of push through, do my work.
Sunday? Yeah, it's Sunday. Have a good Sunday. Be safe. Be mindful. Be kind. Be productive. I just got done doing my little, little workout. Got something in. Not the most productive I've had, but it counts because I still did it, and I still look good. I still look good. At least I like to think so. All right, y'all. So until next time, take care, y'all. Have a great day. Have a great week. Get your clothing done, your washing, your laundry. Get prepared for the work week. If you live in the South, Sundays seem to be the party day before the work week. They kind of treat Sundays like Saturdays. I don't make the rules. Anyway, y'all. Talk to y'all soon.
We represent I can't keep up with this. She got me off my waist. I put it on my blood. Finding you.